Hi, today we're going to be looking at linear communication models. Now, what do we mean when we talk about communication models? Well, communication is in fact very complex. Communication, in a way, forms the whole basis of our society. Everything is determined by communication. Now, if you wanted to dedicate your entire life to studying communication, you easily could. In fact, for those of you with a real interest in communication and an interest in research, now would be a fantastic time to start looking into communication and how communication is changing, because we've gone from face-to-face communication and written communication to telephonic communication to digital communication. And the ways in which we are communicating now are different to 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So in many ways, communication is a very, very complex and intricate thing. Now, obviously in this course, we aren't going to delve too deeply into the complexities of communication. We are looking at how can we improve communication in the workplace. So our everyday practical communication, especially in the workplace, what do we need to know about it? How can we improve it? How can we help to use communication to improve our business skills? But it does help to know the theory. So without the theory, the practicalities are far more difficult. Now, one of the ways we look at the theory of communication is to create a model. So a model is essentially a visual representation of communication. So we take the components, if you remember the 9 components, so we take some of those components and we create a visual representation using them. Now, we have 2 different types of communication models. We have linear and convergent models. So today we're looking at linear models. Linear models show communication moving in a straight line, hence linear. When we want to look at the major components of communication, so we want to explain the fundamentals of communication, just the major parts, then it's very useful to use a linear model. Linear models are not best suited for complex communication because they are only looking at the major parts. So let's take a look at a very famous linear model. This is Laswell's communication model. It is a fairly old one. It's a very simple one. And this is a communication model that shows how simple communication and the sort of communication that is used in public communication, how that works. So it's in a straight line, as linear communication models are. So we have a communicator over here, that is the sender, and there's a little arrow pointing this way to show the direction of information. So the communicator sends a message through the medium to the receiver, and then there is an effect. So this is when you pick up a brochure. You pick it up, and the company who is advertising in the brochure is the communicator. The message is what the brochure tells you, what information is delivered to you. The medium is written and often visual in the form of pictures. It's a brochure. You are the receiver, and what effect does it have? It either makes you interested in the product or the company, it makes you want to buy things from them, it might make you feel that you really don't want anything to do with this company. That is the effect. So this communication model is best used to describe public communication or very simple interpersonal communications. So if you say to someone in the household, oh, please turn on the light, and they go and turn on the light. So you are the communicator, the message is please turn on the light, the medium is verbal, the receiver is whoever you said that to, and then the effect is the light turned on. There's no real need to do anything more complicated than that because there isn't really any back and forth. So if you look at a linear model, you can see that we are only looking at the main components. We're forgetting about noise, we're forgetting about feedback, we're forgetting about channel. We're just looking at the main components, and we are just showing a simple communication happening. So if we go back to this slide, you can see how communication moved in a straight line. You can see how by using this model, you can break down and explain and analyze the main components of communication. And you can also see that this doesn't take into account any of the complexities of communication. So we aren't talking about communication that involves misunderstandings or back and forth, or we need to understand the person's cultural background in order to understand their message. We're just looking at straightforward, straight line communication where the sender and receiver roles are fixed. There is one sender, there is one receiver. Okay, and that is what you need to know about linear models of communication.